So I've been looking forward to this movie ever since it was announced, and with Jennifer Hudson fulfilling the role of Aretha Franklin, I mean, it has to be fantastic, right? Well, let's talk about it. My name is Brandon Keith Avery, and this is just my opinion. Hey, what's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Just My Opinion for my movie review for Respect. And if this is your first time finding me and you happen to like the video, please give me that thumbs up and consider subscribing. All right, guys, so most of us have heard of Miss Aretha Franklin, and rest in peace, my sister. Rest in peace, rest in power. I believe she passed away just a few years ago in 2018. But while she was here, she was everywhere, had millions and millions of fans all across the world. I mean, it was crazy. So many people looked up to her. She was an American producer, songwriter, singer, civil rights activist. You know, the list just goes on, with all the achievements that this great woman accomplished, throughout her life. And what's great before her passing is she actually handpicked Jennifer Hudson to fulfill the role. That has a lot of significance to me and was one of the reasons why I was looking forward to this movie so much. I mean, this was one of my most anticipated films to be released in 2021. I have not seen the Cynthia Erivo adaptation that was on the National Geographic channel, but if you have seen that and you thought it was good, please let me know what you think down below. Also, all those who have seen both or will see both, I'm just kind of curious in the comment section of what you're gonna say on which one you prefer over the other. Not necessarily on who performed a better job as Aretha Franklin, but just on who told the story, who told the story best, who was able, to hit all those important story point details. And this is being directed by Miss Leslie Tomei, who I'm not too familiar with. If you look at her filmography, she did a few episodes, I believe just one for Jessica Jones and The Walking Dead, and we have her whole filmography right here. If you are familiar with her work, please let me know what you think of her as well down below in the comment section. And guys, this is another reason why I was really looking forward to this film is, it just has a fantastic cast. We just spoke on Jennifer Hudson. Of course, we have Forrest Whitaker right here, Marlon Wayans, and just so much more. And of course, we're going to talk about whether or not I thought they did a great job or not. But before we do that, let me tell you exactly what this film is all about. Following the rise of Aretha Franklin's career from a child singing in her father's church choir to her international superstardom, Respect is the remarkable true story of the icon's journey to find her voice. And guys, yes, this is based on a true story, so I'm not going to talk about the story itself, just how the story was told and the performances and just how everything worked out on screen. And overall, guys, I really did enjoy this film. Whether you are a diehard Aretha Franklin fan or not, or you're just not too familiar with her or just heard her name in passing, I think if you just walk into this film without doing any prior research or anything like that, you will walk out satisfied. One of the things that I like early on in the film is how much time is spent on Aretha's youth and to show how much she loves singing songs and performing in front of other people. That was just really special to me. They could have brushed over that, but they actually spent a lot of time developing that in the film as just to who Aretha was as a young child. Also, just how her relationship was with her family, her friends, cousins, sisters, and all of her ongoing church members. It really laid a nice foundation at the very beginning of the film on just who Aretha was if you had no clue whatsoever. All right, guys, I'm going to be 100% honest in saying that prior to seeing this movie, I only knew Aretha as a songwriter, a singer, a pianist, and a civil rights activist. I knew nothing about her backstory or where she came from, how traumatic her childhood was and all the abuse that she went through, especially, with some of her love interests throughout the decades. And they do show that in this film. Sometimes they show you, sometimes they tell you. And it is uncomfortable to watch at times. Now, I will go ahead and give the film credit. They know what to show and they know what not to show. They did a great job there because no one wants to see anyone taken advantage of, abused, molested, or raped. And that is a lot of things that Aretha had to go through as a young child. The director makes it very obvious about what's going on, what went on, and what's about to take place. And it is palatable just so you can know the story without being too gruesome and over the top and graphic. They did a really good job of showing how much love and support she had from her home community, but also a lack thereof as well. And one of the best things about this film that I loved and actually had me smiling from ear to ear was them showing how all the music of some of her greatest hits came together, Respect being one of them. I mean, I was tapping my feet, I was bobbing my head, and kind of like singing along. You know, one note in particular, ree, 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 ree. All right, I'm done there, but I think you get my point, you know. As you see how I'm emoting right now, that's exactly my reaction when I was watching this in the theater. And it wasn't just for one scene, it was for a few of them. And so that is one of the highlights that I did appreciate. And also, remember the film with Viola Davis and Chadwick Boseman that came out last year on Netflix, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom? One of the great things about that film is the going back and forth between herself, the song artist, and the producers on how they're going to put the song together, the music together. I love that in this film too, and of course it's not copying it. It's a completely different tone. I just thought of that right now as a reference, but there was another highlight of the film. Just the dialogue and the banter going back and forth between the characters as they're in the studio trying to figure out what's the best way for the song to come alive, what's the best way for this song to be a hit. And that's great because early on in Aretha's career, I mean, she wasn't just knocking out home runs one after another. I mean, she struggled for a few albums, and I didn't know that going into this movie. I kind of thought that she was a phenomenon from day one, you know, up until the end, but apparently that's not the case. You know, she did struggle a little bit, and the film did focus on that, and that is another thing that I did like. And I also have to talk about the performances. I mean, they were stellar. They were fantastic. I don't want to say like across the board everyone deserves an Oscar, but everyone does deserve a nod of respect, no pun intended. I sometimes forget how talented Marlon Wayans is because most of the time he is playing a comedic or spoof role, but he surely did pull his weight in this film as Ted White, one of Aretha Franklin's past husbands. He did a really great job of making you fall in love with his character early on in Aretha's life during their dating phase, but he also did a great job of making you despise his character when he turned into a despicable human being later on in their marriage. And I was just so frustrated with this character, and that just goes to show how great he did. I will say I'm still kind of confused on the accent that he was trying to pull off. I mean, I don't know if Ted White really talks that way, then so be it. But that was a little distracting, to be honest with you. But his performance, he still did a great job. I mean, this man's emotions was all over the place. You know, he was jealous, he was insecure, and that came out on screen. Unfortunately, Aretha had to go through that, you know, but if that's the way it really went down, he did a great job of portraying that on screen. Jennifer Hudson did a fantastic job as Aretha as well. And I have to give her credit not to where the points to where she was actually speaking dialogue, but when she was quiet. Through all of her facial expressions, you can tell throughout the film all the pain and trauma that she was going through while she was trying to hide it behind all that wonderful makeup and glam from her surrounding peers. It was really sad seeing her struggle this way and not being able to express how she really felt with all these demons and eternal torment that was eating her up from the inside. So great job, Jennifer Hudson, right there. I gotta give you 2 thumbs up. However, the person in this film that took the crown for the best performance, in my opinion, has to go to Forest Whitaker as C.L. Franklin, her father. My goodness gracious, we all knew that this man could act, and if you did not know, you would definitely know after this movie. He knocked it out the park, home run with his performance. I absolutely loved it. There were just so many times in this film to where he had to check so many people that had to do with his daughter Aretha, played by Jennifer. And man, I was just blown away. I was convinced and I was scared of him. He was scary on screen. I was like, whoa, bro, you better back up. This dude is about to shoot you in his house or whatever. And he don't care. He could probably get away with it because you're in his house too. I mean, I was really afraid, and I'm not just, this is not hyperbole. I'm not exaggerating, but I was just saying to myself like, damn, Forrest, I didn't know you had it in you like that, brother. But good stuff. I'm loving it. Now, even though I really wasn't a fan of his character, you know, I can't judge the film like that because this is based on a true story. And it really just does dive deep into all the pain and hurt that she went through and how she was just longing to be loved by somebody, anybody. And there's a lot of people that go through that right now who are alive today, whether they are young and old. And I just wonder how those people feel after seeing this film, if you're able to relate. And of course, please let me know down in the comment section below without giving me all of your personal details. But of course, if you want to, that is entirely on you. And another positive that I have to give the film is just showing how much Aretha grew over her years. Early on, she was very timid and allowed a lot of people to speak for her. But in her later years, she really wasn't having that crap. Whether she was right or wrong, she grew a backbone and was going to be vocal and speak her voice. And that is always something that I can appreciate. However, while I do like the performances and seeing the highlights of Aretha bringing her songs together and what focused on her younger years as a child, the film is not perfect. I have to be honest with you. There are some things that I did not like that rubbed me the wrong way. One of them being the movie is about 2.5 hours long, and it does feel long. You can feel that length. You can. And the pacing was off just a little bit there. And it just, unfortunately, you can tell there's just a ton that they left on the cutting room floor that has to do with Aretha's backstory that they just could not fit into this film. I'm not saying that the things that I watched, they should have cut that out. I did appreciate all that, but there was just some jump cuts here and there, times in transition where it's going from here to here throughout her life. And I'm like, wait a minute, what about this gap in time, this gap in time, and this gap of time? I want to know what happened at this point. Now, later on, they try to circle back and fill in those holes, but I'm just thinking it probably would have been a better overall end product if it was told more linear. And when I say that, sometimes these flashbacks that they're throwing at you really don't have that much substance if you just don't know what they're talking about. One having to do with her mother. Her mother died, unfortunately, when Aretha was very, very young, and also left C.O. Franklin, Aretha's father, when she was young age. However, the film doesn't really say why she left. It's just kind of vague and left for open interpretation, and that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. I just want to know that. And there were just some other aspects in Aretha's life that you can just tell by the editing was left out, and I wish they would have kept that in the film. However, it did end great with the ending credits. I love that, showing a real life performance of Aretha, you know, during the last years that she was here. I thought that was beautiful. It really was the icing on the cake, you know, to this film. And overall, guys, I did enjoy it. It's not a perfect film, as most aren't, but if you were to buy this on streaming or in the theater, whatever is more convenient for you or is available, I think you will have a good time. I'll give my rating for the film at the very end, but guys, that is just my opinion, and I want to thank you so much for tuning in. If you did like the video, please go ahead and give me the thumbs up and also subscribe to the channel. And guys, again, I want to thank you so much for tuning in. And if I had to rate Respect out of a 1 out of 10, I'm going to go ahead and give this one an 8 out of 10. Yes, an 8 out of 10. And guys, again, I want to thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.